Hi again, everybody. I have a message here from Amy, and here's her story. Dear Ollie, I was with my husband for 15 years, and we have two children together, ages 15 and 6. After the birth of our second child, his drug and alcohol addiction really ramped up and was absent for the first 4 months of our son's life. I told him he could come back as long as he was getting treatment, and he did stay sober for 9 months with the help of AA. Unfortunately, he started playing online poker obsessively and chatting with women online. I also think he was cheating, but he would never admit to anything when I asked him. For the next 3 years, he would be in a cycle of drinking and doing drugs and then going back to meetings when things got really bad, and I would threaten to kick him out. In March of 2015, I was supposed to be away working for 5 days, but I had to come home the next morning because he had left our children alone and overdosed on drugs he had bought at a strip club. He promised me that it was his rock bottom, and I told him he could stay as long as he was in a real treatment program and not just meetings, and I would kick him out if he ever used again. 6 weeks later, he went to go see a concert with his friends and didn't come home for 2 days. I kicked him out. He rented an apartment across the street and said he still wanted to be there for the kids and would be there in a minute if I ever needed him. He rarely came over if I needed him and continued to show up to see the kids smelling of alcohol. We went to mediation and agreed to try nesting. That meant he would look after the kids in my home twice a week and I would stay at his place. We agreed that my home would be a sober house and safe for the kids. The second time he showed up, he smelled of alcohol, and I told him the arrangement was over. I then got a lawyer and came up with the same agreement for nesting since I didn't want my kids in his shitty one-bedroom apartment. But now he would have to use a remote breathalyzer and pee in a drug cup before each visit. If he could test clean for 4 months, then testing would end. But if he tested dirty, in the 4 month clock would reset. That started a fucked up situation where the 4 month clock would be reset every 2 weeks, and he made sure that there was evidence of other women in his apartment to triangulate me. You're allowing yourself to be triangulated here, by the way. He stayed sober for 9 months the first time. Okay, so what is a 4 month clock telling you? This guy isn't going to change. Okay, not like this, and probably not for a while because he hasn't hit his rock bottom. And you, I think, are holding on, trying to hope he'll change here at this point, and it's not going to happen. He's getting you to triangulate himself because you're kind of buying into this and feeding the beast here. After almost a year of the testing clock being reset and not being able to take any more staying in his apartment, I ended the nesting arrangement and said my sons could see him 2 days a week after school and I would pick them up at bedtime. Since October of 2016, he has been terrible to my 15-year-old son, who told his dad he didn't want to talk to him until he went to rehab. My son is now the scapegoat. His license was suspended again for drinking and driving, but I only found out after he had been driving with my 6-year-old and 6-year-old 4 times with a suspended license. The woman he is dating knew all about it and sat in the passenger seat while my son was in the back and didn't try to stop it. So now I have cut contact between me and my children and him, and I'm applying for sole custody. I don't want his bullshit or anyone that will perpetrate his bullshit around my kids. They've been through enough, and I'm not willing to risk their health and safety anymore. He sends me the most vile messages one day and then tells me how much he misses me the next. I at least know at this point that it's hoovering. His latest text was that he was on a waiting list for rehab and thinks seeing the kids will help him stay sober. No, it won't. My question is, why do I feel guilty about keeping my children away from this horrible narc after everything he has done, and that there is still some part of me that wants to believe that if he truly commits to sobriety, that he could get back to our family. That's it, and that's what I told you earlier. You're holding on to a hope that isn't there because he's still playing you. And the reason you feel guilty about taking, it's never a good thing to take children away from their father, from any parent. I know that better than anybody. And anybody who gets off on it, that's the difference. You're not getting off on it. Most people do when we're dealing with this type of stuff. Right now, cutting contact is probably the best thing. To decide that he can never have, I know you're not saying he can never have a relationship with his kids. The goal is not bringing him back because he's just too far gone as an alcoholic right now. And he's not going to change. If you want any supervision, if you want any visitation, it should be supervised through the state. Because he has a drug and alcohol problem. Okay, and you're still putting your kids at risk. You know he has this alcohol problem, and whether you knew his license was suspended or not, you know he's drunk all the time. I wouldn't have been comfortable with letting my kids drive around with him. You're making bad decisions here based on your hope that you can fix him and he can come back, and that's not going to happen here. Not like this. Not like this. The guilt is anybody who would take their children away from their father. And obviously you don't hate this guy. Obviously you still love him because you want him, because you're holding on hope you could get your family back. But right now that's not in the cards, not like this and not with what you're doing. He's still using, give me back what I want and I'll fix this other, and I'll fix my drug and alcohol. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. And you can't just hand them over again. Something's going to need to be moderated by the state. And I am the last person to bring the state in. But in cases like this, it's probably necessary. What you need to do is you need to work on yourself and work on moving on with your own life without him, because that might motivate him to get clean as well. If he thinks you're moving on or sees you trying to move on, he might actually take it seriously this time. And also, I got to call out not only the driving, you let him go to a concert with his same friends that he goes drinking with 6 weeks later. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You knew this was going to happen. None of this can really be that big of a shock to you. You know what the right thing to do is here. Okay? And you just got to make sure you always put the needs of your children before his needs or the needs of either your relationship with him or the overall family, because you're in love with the idea of what you want your family to be, and that's not what it is right now. You have to look at what the reality is, and that's narcissism. You have to deal with what the reality is, and your reality right now is you're with a narcissistic alcoholic who only cares about drinking but doesn't want anything taken away from him. But that's not how that works. So thank you for your story. I hope that helps. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, or you'd like a private Skype video or private Skype session or a private video made, you know what to do with the PayPal and the email links in the description box. I'll have the video right back to you. Zolly Matthews, thanks for watching. See you all again soon.